John McCain was making the rounds over this weekend. He was on Fox and Friends, and a couple of very interesting topics came up. One was Brian Kilmeade had a problem with something he saw a rebel scream in a video coming out of Syria. Let's cut to that.
I know you met with General Idris, who is a defector from the Syrian army, who's come out. Some say that he does have tie to Muslim extremists. I don't know. Well, listen to this video, Senator McCain, of a Syrian, it looks like a fighter jet being shot out of the sky. Listen to what they say afterwards. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! I have a problem helping those people out if they're screaming that after a hit.
Would you have a problem with American Christians saying, thank God, thank God? That's what they're saying. Come on. Of course they are Muslims, but they are moderates, and I guarantee you that they are moderates. I know them, and I've been with them. For someone to say Allahu Akbar is about as offensive as someone saying thank God.
General Dempsey came out and said,
does he not understand that, like,
He's on Fox News?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that too. No, not John McCain. Does Brian Kilmeade not understand, one, that words can be translated from one language to another? And two, it's not religion dependent. It means God whether you're a Muslim or a Christian when you're using that language. How does he not understand that?
Because he thinks it's not okay for Muslims to say. He is not cool with Muslims following God. You know, they think that it's just only the Christian God. That's the only legitimate one, I guess. I mean, I love the look on his face. They sort of like, oh my goodness, McCain, he's going to get mad at me.
I look stupider than usual.
What is happening to John McCain, though? I can't tell if he's a neocon or if he's a pacifist or what the deal is. You know, there was a video that I saw, it's from a couple months ago, but one of the rebels in Syria, they kill a soldier and he literally eats his heart. Have you guys seen this? Yeah. He takes his heart out and eats it in, you know, blood and heart, right out of the guy's body. So like I don't know, that doesn't strike me as a particularly moderate thing to do. So the way that McCain is putting his reputation on, well, they're all moderates. Really? I mean, I'm pretty sure. What?
Most of them are accountants.
No, yeah, they're great people.
Mostly accountants and librarians. That's who's fighting against Assad. Yeah. Accountants and librarians. Has John McCain ever met a conflict he didn't think could be solved by force? No, of course not. He's advocated for force everywhere, always, at all times. Yeah. And he always knows who's the moderates are. He always knows. He knew in Iraq, too, who the moderates were. That worked out fantastic. Yeah. He knows everything.
Well, it's hard to know at this point, really, if he supports it or not, because he's made statements over the past 48 hours or so that seem to support both positions. I mean, it could be that he's trying to finesse exactly what form our intervention should take. He's almost certainly in favor of some sort of intervention. But I read quotes from him that it seems like he just wants us to provide more financial and material support for the rebels. So it could be that. It could be that he wants us to amp up to actual boots on the ground. It's hard to really tell, and it's possible that he's not sure day to day exactly what he thinks about it.
That is very possible that he's not sure, yes. That Brian Kilmeade clip, like, how does that not disqualify him from national discourse? Like that, because stuff like that happens all the time, and no one ever gets disqualified for saying stuff like that. Like,
well, it's incredibly.
That's just him revealing that I'm anti-Muslim.
Yeah.
We hate Muslims. We don't think about it through. We don't think it through much, but we certainly hate them.
It's just lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if you were to remove the religious part slightly, like, it's just going to the most base, fearful place that you can talk to your audience. So is there a reason he doesn't lose his job? Yeah, because that's what they're doing, and that's why their ratings are 3 times better than all the other cable news networks, because if you go to the lowest common denominator, a lot of people to play with down there.
Yeah. And look, I think that he should at the very least be intellectually consistent. Like, if I was in the streets of some city in Syria and I saw a rocket fly off and someone yelled Allahu Akbar, I would feel incredibly nervous. But if I was in the streets of, I don't know, I guess Missouri or something, and somebody started shooting an assault rifle, an AR-15 in the air, and they yelled, God is with us, I would also be pretty scared about that as well.
Right, if Syria had a plane flying over LA and we didn't know what was going on and then someone shot it down, I might say thank God that Syrian plane just got shot down, you know?
So John McCain was on Fox and Friends, and the discussion turned to Laura Ingraham's criticism of John McCain's apparently switching position on the conflict in Syria, and he had a funny little retort. Let's watch.
Fox News alert, you just heard Laura Ingraham, who echoes many Republicans say Senator John McCain is flip-flopping on his support for President Obama.
She feels as though you're bailing him out, a misguided, confused policy. And now when you come out to the microphones and say, hey, we got to support this, that people can't understand where that came from.
Well, first of all, I didn't say, hey, we got to support this. Second of all, I said I was encouraged when the president commits to increasing our support for the Free Syrian Army, but providing them with the weapons that they need to combat Bashar Assad and to degrade the capabilities of the Syrians to deliver these chemical weapons and other weapons. I just beg to differ. I'm sure that with her vast knowledge of military tactics and strategy, she knows better than me.
Well, there's an item in the Wall Street Journal today that talks a little bit about how, even though the White House authorized
I love the little laugh at the end there. He's so proud of himself, but he waited. He waited like 10 seconds.
He straight-faced it.
Yeah, and then he's like,
yeah,
I got her. Yeah. And so I think he brings up a good point there. Obviously, she does not have any it's not like she went to a master's program in international conflict or something like that. And you mentioned earlier, Brian Kilmeade, just race baiting against, or I guess religion baiting against Muslims. Like, what exactly is the bar for people on the right to commentate either on the radio or on Fox News?
There's no bar. Are you kidding me? There's no bar. They go on television with Pat Robertson. Are you kidding me? Pat Robertson's going to show up at the next Republican convention. There's no bar. There is nothing too crazy that you could say. Are you kidding me? Newt Gingrich went around for a year calling Barack Obama the food stamp president. He didn't get this. They gave him a fucking show on CNN.
Which is getting moved up a week earlier because they want to capitalize on the war. Really.
I mean,
really.
he told Juan Williams to get a job when Juan Williams told him to stop race baiting. Yeah. You don't know anything about work.
He's a Renaissance man. He's a former politician. He's an amateur zoologist. Like, he has many interests that allow him to speak. But really, like, this is by the way, this is not something that just applies to Fox News. I mean, you should look into the background of people on CNN, on MSNBC.
Donald Trump, NBC. He went around for a year and a half asking for his long-form birth certificate. A race baiter in chief gave him a show. NBC.
Yeah.
We got a hit
Michael
show.
Savage.
Right,
MSNBC.
but you should, and you should look into everyone's background. You feel free if you're watching this to look into our background, find out is Jimmy saying something now that is completely against something that he said 3 years ago? I guess not. You've always been a little nutty, and you're going with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can look back. I was tweeting about Syria 2 years ago, and I'm pretty sure that anything that I've ever said about it is still in line with what I think at this moment. But in terms of McCain, but in terms of McCain, it's a little dangerous for him to say, well, I've been around forever and I'm privy to all this stuff, so I know a lot more than everybody else. Because I also think that being in politics for that long doesn't necessarily mean you know a lot more. There's a picture that they just posted yesterday of John Kerry having dinner with Bashar Assad just from like 3 years ago. So yesterday he's comparing him to Hitler, but 3 years ago they had dinner together. So.